So here we are, second round. Best series in the second round easily has to be the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets. And in the second round is when the awards get handed out. Jokic finished MVP, third in 4 years. But also, we have Rudy Gobert winning his 4th DPOY in his career, putting him in very rare air in terms of his resume. And it took one game for everybody to just lose their mind and go crazy about why Rudy's a bad defender, because Jokic had an all-time great performance.
The reality is that we're talking basketball, and we're watching a guy that's a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year get abused. You know, finger rolls, up and unders. I mean, I'm just looking at what Jokic was doing to this man. Of course Jokic is great. Of course Jokic is going to score on anybody. We get that. But damn, Tim, are we allowed to sit around and at least hope that somebody is going to do a better job than most others?
Jokic went out, had 40, one of the greatest scoring performances I've seen in the postseason in quite some time. And in the process of doing so, as we all know, not only did he shoot really well from the field, but he had moments where he was cooking Rudy Gobert. And now people want to sit here and question. In that game, game 5, Jokic shot 8 for 9 from the field while being defended by Gobert. It sucks. Now, could Gobert play better? Of course he could. Of course he could. But this idea that we're going to question Rudy Gobert's defensive prowess because of one bad game in this series is ridiculous. For those who do not know, throughout the rest of this series, Jokic shoots 11 for 28 when being defended by Rudy Gobert. But of course, that doesn't fit anyone's agenda. They want to go out and find moments that best suit them. This is the reason why this series has been so revealing. When the Nuggets went down 0-2, everybody started to show their true colors on how they felt about Jokic. When Gobert was actually playing good defense against Jokic, mums were nothing. But as soon as you slip a little bit, people start to show you their true colors. Y'all don't watch basketball. You rather push narratives. And I mean that to not only to the mainstream media, but people online and even ex-NBA players. You all don't actually want to contribute to healthy dialogues. The dialogue afterwards is normally how great of an offensive player that was, how great of a scoring expedition. Look at the tough shots, make after make, not the player who is actually playing good defense isn't a good defender. I almost never, ever have I ever heard that type of dialogue.
Jokic had 40 points, 13 assists, 7 rebounds, and not a single turnover. Their field goal percentage went from 40 to 55%. Their three-point shooting went from 36 to 47%. Is anybody allowed to say to a JJ Redick or to somebody else, can I get a little something from Rudy Gobert because he is a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year?
To Stephen A. Smith and everybody else, you all decided to look up all of those numbers, but didn't take the time out to look at any of the information on when Gobert is defending Jokic outside of this one game. When Jokic was struggling, no one said, hey, we got to give credit to the DPOY. He is stopping one of the greatest offensive players for having a good series. No, nobody cared. We're going to trash Jokic. But then when Jokic plays good, instead of acknowledging, hey, maybe you know what? He's actually playing great offense. Hey, you know what? Maybe we just jumped the gun. No, you know what? Instead of just praising them or just shutting the fuck up, it was, oh, Gobert's trash. Quiet as kept. Y'all niggas is xenophobic. Y'all can't stand when foreigners start to come over here and start winning awards. I truly believe it.
If every player who's ever played in the NBA, and you can only take one quarter to submit as a testament to who you are as a player at your best, submit the third quarter of that game the other night. Because that was damn near basketball perfection. His aggressiveness, his footwork, his touch. He was reading every situation perfectly. And by the way, if you did defend him half decent down there, he was throwing these wraparound passes to Aaron Gordon for dunks. I mean, it was insane. That's the only place I'll cut Rudy Gobert a break in that. Man, this dude was on another level that night. Didn't matter who was out there.
That is how we respond when people give us all-time performances. When LeBron went off, we praised LeBron. When Curry went off, we praised Curry. When Dirk was going through everybody in 2011, we praised Dirk Nowitzki. When Kobe was going crazy, we praised Kobe, we praised Shaq. And never ever once did I hear anybody say, Ben Wallace, why didn't you step up to the challenge and slow down Shaq? When somebody's in the zone like that, no one sits here and says, hey, Klay Thompson, why didn't you slow down Kyrie? Because the nigga is cooking, my nigga. He's on fire. He's in the zone. That's how we've been discussing basketball for as long as I can remember. So why all of a sudden are we changing that? Why?
This was old-fashioned, take you down into the wood shop and go to work. Jokic, at one point in this game, he went down there and scored one-on-one coverage against the Defensive Player of the Year, followed by a perennial all-star caliber player, Karl Anthony Towns, followed stood by the 6th man of the year in Nas Reed. He did it 3 straight trips. He took on all 21 feet of center.
Hey, that's a sketchy sentence right there. Every player that stood in his way was getting scored on that night.
You are making people change their shot trajectory when they go into the cup, or are you scaring them because you long and you there? When you matched up against a guy that's your equal size, you get dominated.
Keyshawn Johnson always just proved to me that he has no idea what he's talking about. Rudy Gobert and Jokic are not the same size. Gobert is taller than him, a little bit longer as well. Jokic is like 30, maybe even 40 pounds heavier than this man. That's the reason why he can outmuscle him. And the thing that really bothers me about this conversation is that what exactly do y'all want Gobert to do? Because if Gobert loses weight to be more agile to defend perimeter-oriented players, which is what y'all want this nigga to do, because God forbid a few years ago when he was trying to decide, am I want to protect the lane or I got to go out to the three-point shot to go contest Terrence Mann, who's never really been a good three-point shooter, because nobody on my team can actually defend on the perimeter. Bro, the weight that you've lost to go out there and defend in space, you're now giving up more size inside when you defend these two players. Man, what do y'all want him to do? And I want to be clear, that's not just a Gobert thing. That's the same thing with like Bam, AD. It's like, bro, everybody has gotten accustomed to, hey, I need to be a bit more leaner, lose weight, be more flexible, defend in space. And then out of nowhere, Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid just came out of nowhere, just spawned over the last 3 to 4 years, start dominating inside, using their size, getting to the basket. Now all these bigs who lost weight, became more flexible, versatile, now they're giving up size advantages that they normally didn't give up.
I can't imagine the top defensive player like a Deion Sanders at the cornerback position going up against the top wide receiver and letting him get 200 yards on him. Not gonna happen, Skip.
Y'all act as if like we've never seen individual all-time great defenders struggle to defend all-time great offensive players. Part of the reason why most of y'all like, oh, back in the day, Dikembe would never let this happen. Yeah, Dikembe never let it happen because, again, if you were able to avoid essentially Shaq or Hakeem, that was really it. There was no other centers at that time that played offensively at the same level as Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid. But when it comes to Mutombo, no one says anything. In the year he won his 4th DPOY, had to go up against an all-time great center and got completely shat on. He was getting tossed around like a rag doll. And if I'm not mistaken, there's like quotes out there of him saying, oh, I want to guard Shaq one-on-one, and got torched. And the same thing can be said about literally any all-time great defender. That man David Robinson got fried by Hakeem Olajuwon. The only time that an all-time great offensive player has consistently been able to be slowed down is either one or two ways. A, they are forced to do something they're not comfortable with doing, or B, they send double teams and they help consistently to try to get the ball out of his hands. That's really it.
Man, he's killing you.
It's hard to guard Nikola Jokic, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, say in
if you defensive player of the year,
report,
you gotta have some resistance. You ain't
man,
like he beating you every time.
I ain't just gonna let him body me up.
Every
it was
time.
a tough night.
I'm just talking about every. No, he's been 40 balling him. He's got 40.
Yeah, this ain't.
before.
It wasn't just last night.
If somebody guarding somebody woo and then I get by Sheed and I'm shooting at this angle, and this weak side guy going to take that angle away that I've just beat him with. You know what I'm saying? This angle beats Sheed, but that weak side guy is going to come get that angle, and that's what I think a guy like him. That's how he get most of his blocks. Don't get me wrong, he's probably decent.
He's probably decent. NBA players are talking about defense like this. So if that's the case, Dikembe Mutombo and Ben Wallace got a lot of their blocks that way. That's all it was. It was weak side help. So now all of a sudden, are we going to go back throughout NBA history and just completely tear down players because they were rim protectors, they were roamers, and they got weak side blocks? Are y'all crazy? You know how easy that is? You know how easy it is to constantly protect the basket of every single player trying to finish at the rim, while then being told you need to go defend in space with the most skilled guards in NBA history who are allowed to do the most dribble moves in NBA history, who are also the best shooters in NBA history. You gotta eat that shit, dog. Shut the fuck up, bro. None of y'all niggas was asked to do anything these niggas is doing defensively in today's league. None of y'all were. There's not a center in NBA history that is as skilled as Jokic as a scorer, but then y'all also want that same defender to go guard Kevin Durant out in space. That nigga doesn't exist. Dikembe not doing that. Alonzo Mourning, he not doing that. David Robinson not doing that. None of them are doing that.
I know how hard it is to guard these guys and take their first move and second move. But now in this game, you got to take 5 moves. Back, inside out, cross back, step back. I'm taking all this and then I'm going in here and you might get the block, but I really made him I took his 3-point shot away. I took his drive away. Now I influenced him to you. I don't get no credit for that.
We've been saying this about defense for years and y'all never wanted to hear that. Defense, unfortunately, there's a lot of that stuff that will not show up in the box score. It just won't. Y'all, older people, ex-NBA players have been telling us how good someone is defensively because of blocks. That's how the award has been given out for most of his existence. Hey, if I ever say that bald guy who wore number 23 got a lot of his steals because of ball pressure from Scottie Pippen and BJ Armstrong, and he got to play passing lanes, oof. If I ever say that, I'm hating. But if you go back and go watch it, that's how Michael Jordan got a lot of his steals. Speaking of which, if I have to go on social media and somebody explain to me he ain't doing a better job as Dwight Howard was in 2020, my nigga, what? A worse version of Jokic while Dwight Howard was out there basically just racking up fouls? That's not defense. You're fouling him.
Jokic is fascinating because from the center position, we've never seen someone, in Perk, you played the center position, manage a game from the center position, bring the ball up the court, initiate the offense from the center position. This is it for Minnesota. I mean, can they find what they had in games 1 and 2? Can they show us what that number 1 defense was? Or this could be more of Jokic and more of Denver asserting themselves and finishing the series out?
The Wolves forced a game 7, so no. People are discussing how to defend Jokic like the slow-footed, big 300-pound centers back in the day who were just fucking muscleheads who just rub their way into the lane and just throw up a hook shot. He's not that. If you try to body him too much, he's quick on his feet, immediately spinning, get into the basket, fade away, Dirk one-legger, like all the things that you will look for in an offensive player, bro, he's providing it.
Well, look, we got the MVP, the Defensive Player of the Year, same position, going head-to-head, okay? And when we talk about the Defensive Player of the Year and Rudy Gobert, can he stop Jokic? No one can. He's the most skilled center to ever touch the damn basketball. To be honest, let's call it a spade. He's being soft, big Twinkie. He's creamy in the middle.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie. I've heard this clip before. That shit still blows me. I ain't gonna lie. Yo, creamy in the middle is crazy. Again, Gobert can be a bit better. He can initiate more of that physicality, but holy hell, that's crazy. When Gobert is being aggressive defensively on Jokic, there's no backline help. It's just him. So I just want to say that it's easy for you to be aggressive when you're posting up somebody at the elbow when somebody else behind you is going to play backline help.
You text me all the newspaper articles about how they were killing Paul Gasol for being soft because I punked him. I've had more of a defensive presence or a better defensive presence in the playoffs than Rudy.
Now, this nigga Perkins is rewriting history, my nigga. You are rewriting, and this is the reason why it's hard for us to actually have basketball conversations, because instead of telling the truth, this niggas want to go out there and lie. No, my nigga. I remember watching that series. KG was the one who was punking him. Game 1, you picked up 4 fouls in 23 minutes. Game 2, you picked up 4 fouls in 13 minutes. Game 3, you picked up 4 fouls in 28 minutes. Game 4, you picked up 4 fouls in 13 minutes. Game 5, you didn't play. Game 6, closeout game, you picked up 5 fouls in 13 minutes. You was out there fouling. Congratulations. Great defense. You get off the floor, Kevin Garnett is still there. If Gobert fouls the way that you were fouling and a foul rate of 4 fouls in 13 minutes, my nigga, the Timberwolves would have absolutely no chance.
Especially when it comes down to rim protection. For his career, he got 1 game with 7 blocks. I got 1 game. He got 1 game with 5 blocks. I got 2 games.
This nigga is just fucking yapping. You're using total blocks in an anomaly game to determine how impactful you are, when you should know that anomaly games isn't an accurate depiction of how good of a defender you may be, but it's more so about how you alter shots. So even if you don't get the block, your ability to make sure that they can still miss the shot is still very important, because you don't also want to put yourself out of position to grab the rebound. That's disgusting. That's disturbing.
When you're talking about a guy that's a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, look, his presence could be felt outside of Jokic, right? He could be intimidating, whether that's guarding the pick and rolls, whether that's swatting the ball out of bounds, whatever it may be, his presence hasn't been felt, and it needs to tonight, because I feel like tonight is a legacy moment for Rudy.
I hate narrative talk. I hate the way that people talk about basketball in that capacity. Beyond game 5, Gobert's actually been really great defensively on him. Unlike Rudy, a lot of you niggas really can't defend in space anyway. Y'all talking about the stuff that y'all was doing back then, and even back then, y'all were getting cooked. People spent 48 hours discussing if this man should he win the DPOY. Well, y'all think that Wemby as a rookie would have did a better job on Jokic? Huh? I think it was a bad strategy from the Minnesota Timberwolves. They changed it in game 6. They doubled him way more often, got the ball of his hands, and it ended up working. And I believe they're probably going to do that in game 7 as well. And I truly believe part of the reason why the dialogue has been this way is because they just don't want to give Jokic his praise. They don't want to go on and on about Jokic the same way they would go on and on and on about any other all-time great center. But yo, y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comment section below. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.